Hey, all praise, all praise. I hope that you all are blessed, having a blessed day. You feel me? Hold on. Matching controller matching. I just had to color coordinate. Anyway, um, message for today is something that I really have been observing. I think with the philosophy and going into Spinoza and going into the who did we just go over? Leibniz with the mandology, like he calls them monads, monadology. I think that's the term for his philosophy. Going into all of that this week has put me obviously in a philosophical state, a reflective state, because some of the stuff I didn't understand, some of the stuff I'm still gaining understanding on. One of the things that philosophy has helped me to understand is that my knowledge is limited. Right, I'm gonna tie this into God. Just give me a second. Right, my knowledge as a man is limited. I was talking to my cousin today, and I was telling her when we look at the Father, and I hope she don't mind me sharing this, but when we look at the Father, the Most High God, we have to realize we are children to God, and we have limited understanding as man. Consider that the Creator created this existence in such a finely tuned fashion that our if one thing is introduced to the human brain that is not of the human brain, it can throw off the whole functioning of the body, i.e., take your body out of homeostasis, right? If too much of a chemical is introduced, it can take your body out of homeostasis. If not enough of a chemical is produced, it can take your body out of homeostasis. If the thyroid is hyperactive, look what it does. If the thyroid is not working at all, look what it does. If the kidneys are not functioning, look what the body does. So the body is fine-tuned. God is so wise, right? Whether you observe through evolution or whether you observe through Adam and Eve, if for the evolutionary sake, they would say, right, the evolution caused this. But I say into that, right, God is so wise that he allowed us to go through the process of evolution and let every possible step occur that the perfect outcome had been the result, i.e., right, we developed in such a way that we have consciousness, but we ooh, oh my goodness, hold on. That's my sign to get a little bit of this cough in me. Ooh. Oishi. That the perfect outcome did come, that we were able to get conscious. I'm not gonna get too deep into that, right? I'm saying all of that to prove that man's knowledge is limited. Our elders' knowledge is limited. Yes, my big auntie, though she been here longer than I've been alive, she don't know everything. Auntie, you don't know everything. I love you. I know you know most of the stuff. You don't know everything, right? And that's okay. Why is that okay? Because if we knew everything, we would be God. And if we were God, we wouldn't be human. Not gods. That's a different level G. That's a lowercase g. But the creator of all things. Which is to say, if we were God, we would not have this experience, right? Because you would have to be outside of this experience to observe this experience. We are within this experience, so then we are not God, right? I say all that to say what I was telling my cousin is that as humans, as man, we seek to know everything, but we fall short. I was telling her about how some of my plans came to naught. All plans of mice and men fail. All plans fail that are of mice and men. Mice set up plans that don't work, and so do men. I suppose we all have that in common, right? But God has the perfect plan for you, right? How do we know this plan? We have to be still, right? That is the point of this message. How to know what God's plan is. First, I had to introduce the notion that we don't know everything, right? But then I also introduce the solution, which is God, right? So then how do you become in line with this solution? Be still. This is an example that I gave to my cousin, and I hope that I articulated this properly, because I came about this by driving to this EIDO seminar. I was in pain sitting in this car, like my knees being in that position for so long was very painful because I had not been taking care of my body. I had not been listening. I tried to rush last minute to get ready. And I should have been continuing my physical therapy journey consistently rather than stopping and starting when I felt I wanted to. right? Again, this is very indicative of how humans interact with God. I'm in this car in pain, and I'm trying to take my mind off the pain, right? I already know I have to suffer through this. So I'm going to just let it be what it is. I'm not going to complain about it. It's nothing I can do about it. I can only make this experience psychologically better, because physically it's taking a toll on my nerve receptors. It hurts. So I began to watch these trees as we driving. Now, if you've ever driven in the passenger seat of a car and watched trees, it looks like a blur. It looks like you blurring, like that's one tree. I'm not okay. I lost count. It's impossible. But when you fix your sight on one tree and watch it as you approach it, as you level with it, equal to it, right? You're equal on the X plane. Now it's moving negatively into the negative Y plane, the negative Y plane, the negative Y plane. Now it's right. Now it's behind me. You see things a little bit differently. You have a stillness now, right? In order to truly know God's plan for you, right? And stop leaning what Proverbs tells us. Lean not on your own understanding. When you stop and find stillness, even like the master did in the Garden of Gethsemane, when you stop and you find that stillness, that's when you can see his plan. And that's when you'll be able to tap in. Because again, we go into plans. There have been many plans for me in my life that I've set up that I've come to naught. Why? Because I did not know the end result of something that I did today, 5 years from now, back then. So that's passing. So what I did 10 years in the past, how it would affect me 5 years closer to this destination that I am now, moving from the negative x-axis to the more positive x-axis, but it's still obviously behind me. So maybe it's around 0. Using my current position in time as a reference point going backward, right? I didn't know how the stuff would affect me 5 years from now, 10 years ago, right? I didn't know how the effects of alcoholism would affect me when I was constantly in that lifestyle. I didn't know, but God knew. So, all right, take that from him. And I'm mad. Man, I can't drink no more. Man, I can't. But then he began to show me the tree that was 100, 200, 400 meters out. And I'm watching how this tree has consumed the wrong nutrients for decades and how this tree has now dwindled away. That was me. That was going to be me. But he removed it from me. So now I'm looking at a tree in that same position, slightly to the right, in a positive X, not at a negative X. And this tree is flourishing. Why? Because it's receiving the proper stuff. But see, I thought I knew better than God. And that's what it comes down to. And I told her this. That's what it comes down to. And I had to admit it. Father, I have to apologize because I was acting like I knew better than you. We act as humans. We have to acknowledge sometimes we want to have faith, right? We want to be able to peep the tree. We want to be able to trust God. We want to be able to know his movements in our life. We want to be able to give over ourselves to the Lord, but we don't trust God. But it has nothing to do with God, why we don't trust God. And I'll make another video about that. It has everything to do with us thinking we know more than him. Because we're like, all plans are mice and men. But God is not a mice, nor is God a man. Right? What did he say? He is a spirit, and if you want to worship him, you must do it in spirit and in truth. Right? What do scripture also tell us? He is not a man and he shall lie. Right? Again, I told her the story of the master Hushua HaMashiach when the disciples asked who at the Last Supper who's going to betray him. He said, the man that I dip this bread, that I give this sup to. And he dips the bread and the wine and hands it to Judas Iscariot, and they still didn't get it. Why? Because they weren't still and seeing what he was showing them. You ask the question, asking you receive, seeking you shall find, knocking it shall be opened unto you. This is what the scriptures say. These ain't Kamal words. Kamal wasn't there walking. I would have been cool to be walking around with the master, but I wasn't back there with him now. I'm here with y'all. You feel me? So to be able to perceive the tree that you are, to be able to perceive the knowledge that God has for you to take you to where you need to go, you first need to find stillness. And you first need to admit, I am not God. Father, you telling me to do this and I'm scared. Why am I scared? Because, well, in the past, I've tried it and it didn't work. But then again, we looking at God like he us. No, We gotta look at God like God is God. Like this the same one that made the stars. This the same one that led Moses. This the same one that sent the master. This the same one that helped Esther. This the same one that was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. This what is it? Shadrach, Meshach. Yeah, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and then Daniel was Belteshazzar. Right? He was the same one that was with them. Right? This is that God that has known all things everlasting to everlasting. My knowledge pales in comparison to the knowledge of God. Pales. Don't even come close. Nigga, I be struggling with chemistry. You think I want to be out here trying to make atmospheres? Nigga, we'd be dead if I was. We cook. Who made this atmosphere? Nigga, I can't breathe. My brother Chinwalk. Nigga, that's come on. Nigga, say no. But look. You feel me? We have to be still. My father Kamal used to say this. I choose to be silent. I choose to be still. When I was still is when I was able to see God's wisdom. Not when I was moving. When I was moving was after I received the instruction from the stillness. You get the instruction, then you go move. And then that's how you move. You get the command, then you go move. That's how you move. You sit down and clear your mind. Release what you think to know the truth. Wait. Lean not on your own understanding, and everything you do, put the Lord first, right? Acknowledge him, and he will guide your steps. And in all things you do, acknowledge him first, and he will guide your steps. I'm paraphrasing that last part. That's Proverbs 3-6, I believe. Anyway, that's my message, right? That's my message. Find that stillness. And even this additional message, forgive, man. We have to forgive melanated people. Elders, please forgive the youth. Youth, forgive the elders. We are a byproduct of our time, right? We are a byproduct of the time we grew up in, and sometimes the times was rough, right? But as melanated people, we have to forgive, and we have to support each other, right? It's hard to love some of these niggas. Trust me, I know. It's hard. Some of these niggas is, hey, but you love me, and I was out here wilding. I know what I was like. You feel me? Anyway, God bless you. Y'all be blessed out here.